the next case I want to discuss is the Guy Saleo case. Do you remember that one in the General Wayne Inn?
Yeah, that was another of the cases that I've done a number of TV shows on. Guy Saleo was a partner in a business in the restaurant business with a fellow named Jim Webb, and they owned a restaurant that was approaching 300 years old. It was the General Wayne Inn, right very close to the border between our county and Philadelphia. Montgomery County was carved out of Philadelphia in the 1780s, so it would have at the time of the Revolution it would have been part of Philadelphia County, and it was named after General Anthony Wayne, Mad Anthony Wayne, who was a Revolutionary War general, and was quite a historic landmark. And these two fellows had bought this restaurant, and the man who was killed, James Webb, was a very gifted chef, and was considered to be, I don't know all the proper terminology, but really the top level type of chef, where people come from far and wide to eat his food. And Guy Saleo was the front man that did the seating and managed the personnel in the front of the.
Was he like the face, and the other one was like the
right? So Saleo had some ability as a assistant chef, what they call like a sous chef or something like that, because these two men had a smaller business venture. It was called the Bistro. It might have had another first name, but I can't remember. That had some local business success, and they parlayed that into this much more grand concept. This would be fine dining, the kind of dining where you would go for fancy type meals. And Saleo's job was to keep the place running and to manage the personnel, and Jim's job was to manage the kitchen and buying the right ingredients and then making sure the food is prepared to his specifications. And there was a bit of an inequity there because Jim's talent was far in excess of Guy Saleo's talent. I mean, Jim's talent could be taken to any restaurant in the world and he would have had a job. Guy Saleo was kind of a screw off, and he drank a lot. He was married, but he was playing around with the waitresses, and not a good guy, and no pun intended. So on the this would have been about 1996 or so. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm still in the same position I was in the other case. I was still in charge of murder investigations for our county, and it was the day after Christmas. And my wife and I had gone to the theater, and as soon as we got home, I had to turn around and go back because we had discovered a body on the third floor at the General Wayne Inn in like a private office, and it was Jim Webb's body. And what had happened was a woman named Betsy Costanza, who was the woman who made the pastries and desserts and stuff. She arrives for work and she sees that Jim's car is still there. So she's looking around for him, and she goes to the office and pushes the door open, and he's laying there dead. Now, she had nurse training, medical training. So she checked to make sure that there was nothing that she could do. And she saw a lump on his forehead. The cash register drawer was open, and she surmised that he had fallen and hit his head on the edge of the cash register. So she calls the 911. Actually, Guy Saleo discovered the body, and then Betsy Costanza came later on and shortly thereafter, and came to the erroneous conclusion that he'd fallen and struck his head. So it turned out that Guy Saleo was the first person to find Jim dead, and later in the investigation, we discovered he was the last person to see him alive. Which is, those two things tend to perk up our ears a little bit.
Yep.
But there's a recording from Betsy Costanza that says, Jim Webb fell and hit his head, blah blah blah. So we get there, and as I guess anybody who's ever been the old part of the country where these very, very houses have stood for a long time, and then they're built out, built out, and built out. New stories are put on, so it ends up being a rabbit warren on the inside. That's what the way the General Wayne Inn was. So you have to go down all these corridors and up these weird flights of stairs that are all creaky and stuff to find this office. So it was readily apparent to us that whoever wanted to go to that office had to know how to find it, because otherwise you never could find it in this building. You had to be led to it unless you knew your way around. So so we go up there, and we're looking around, and one of the fellas finds a spent shell casing from a 25 caliber semi-automatic pistol. The difference between a revolver and a semi-automatic pistol is when you fire a revolver, the brass part of the cartridge stays in the gun. The bullet goes down the barrel, but the part that held the bullet and the gunpowder before it was fired stays in the gun. In a semi-automatic pistol, the part that holds the gunpowder and the bullet before it's fired gets thrown out of the gun, and the gun automatically loads another round. That's why it's called an automatic or a semi-automatic pistol. It automatically, you don't have to do anything in order to reload the gun. So a 25 is an unusual caliber for use in a crime, but it's almost never used in a revolver. And the fact that it had been found in the cash register drawer means it probably was ejected from a 25 caliber semi-automatic pistol. Well, with that, one of the detectives begins to look around Jim's body, because there isn't any blood or anything, for holes that shouldn't be there. And within the hairline in the back below, or sort of, I should say, above where the hair stops growing and your neck starts, he finds a hole that turns out to be a bullet hole. And what had happened was the bullet had traversed Jim's head, fired from the back, from low to high, so at an upward angle, and the bullet had enough energy to penetrate all the way through the skull and the brain, but not enough to get through the skin on the front of the forehead. So it lodged behind the skin, and that was the lump that Betty had found. So obviously, when the doctor opened that up, out came a 25 caliber slug.
Wow. So she thought that's why she thought he because he had like a knot. To her, it looked like he had a knot on his head.
Right. And if people can envision your circulatory system as like a garden hose with your blood flowing through all your veins and arteries, when you turn the garden hose off, even if there's a hole in the hose, nothing comes out because there's no power to push it out. So once somebody dies and their heart stops beating, they stop bleeding. So there wasn't any blood because there's no heart to pump it, because Jim had died. So, and what little bit of blood there was around the wound was covered up in his hair. So it was really quite an unusual scene. And it turns out that Saleo had a 25 caliber pistol, and we wanted to test that pistol to see if it was involved in the killing. So he said that he would turn it over to us voluntarily, no search warrant required. So we're waiting. He doesn't show up with it. So we get a search warrant. I remember I had to get it. It was the weekend. I had to get the judge to come in on a weekend to do a search warrant. We go and search his house, and we get a 25 caliber pistol in a holster. We test fire the pistol, and it does not match up with the projectile that we got out of Jim Webb's head, nor does it match up with the shell casing that was found in the cash register. So now we think we don't have, this is not good. We do a bunch
at that point. Did you think that, because you said that you, as a person who's been doing it in the business for a long time, that you were like, you kind of had your suspicions that it was him. At that point, did you kind of stop suspecting that it was him, or did you still suspect it was him? You just had to kind of figure it out, type of deal.
Well, the way murder investigations go is you ascertain who has a motive to want the person dead.
Okay.
You make a list of those people and you eliminate them from the list, and whoever doesn't you don't eliminate is the one that you focus on. So Soleo had a big motive to want Jim dead. Jim wanted to sell the business. They had huge debt that they had borrowed from the Small Business Administration to finance the operation, and Soleo's father had loaned them $100,000, but lied to the IRS and said it was a gift. And Soleo's father wanted his money back. And if they had sold the business, there wouldn't have been enough to pay off the Small Business Administration and still have money left over to pay Soleo's father back. Then they took out life insurance on each other in case one of them died, so that they would have money to pay off the loan. So Soleo had a big motive to want Jim dead. Plus, he'd been Jim was a hard boss, and he didn't like the fact that that Guy was involved in drinking too much and playing with the waitresses and that kind of thing, and he had some sharp words with Soleo. Well, we interviewed all the employees there, and one of the employees and Jim's wife also said that Soleo had a 25 caliber pistol that his grandfather had brought back from World War II, and it was not the one that we had found, which was a Phoenix Arms pistol, which he had bought just 3 weeks before the murder. So our efforts turned to trying to find this pistol from the war bringback, and the witnesses told us that the pistol had on its grip a particular symbol, and was the symbol. Once we showed the person various types of symbols for guns, it was the symbol for a Beretta pistol, and while we couldn't match the projectile and the ejected casing to the particular gun that we had taken from Soleo, we were able to make a list of guns that could have fired that, and one of them was a Beretta. So we took one of the employees who had seen the gun to a gun shop, and he chose one that looked similar to the one that Soleo had shown around as the gun his grandfather brought back from the war, and he called it the unregistered gun. So obviously, soldiers bringing back things from the war trophies, their commander might know about it in order to get permission to leave the country with it. But back in the 40s, there weren't any laws. You would just have a gun, and that would be it. So there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of weapons that were war bringbacks that are out there that nobody knows about, and this is one of them. So we couldn't find it. Searched his house, searched the place. We found a box of shells which had a number of them missing, but no gun. So I got the idea to put a wiretap on one of the employees and send him in to go talk to Soleo, saying that the police were bothering him about this unregistered 25 caliber pistol, and they want to know about it, and what should I tell him? And he says on the wiretap, "And don't worry about that. I got rid of it. I traded it for a holster years ago." Well, we knew that at least we thought that was a lie, because he told the police that he never had any other 25 caliber pistol other than the one that we had gotten at his house. Now, the one that we got at his house was the Phoenix Arms pistol, roughly the same size, fits in the same size holster, and the holster is made of leather. So I figured, well, when you put something metal hard against leather, it leaves a mark. So we decided to cut open the holster, and we laid the Phoenix Arms pistol in there, and it fit a set of marks perfectly. But there were other marks that it didn't fit. Then we took a Beretta, Model 25 caliber Beretta, laid it in there, and it fit. So now we know that holster had a second gun in it. Soleo had said he bought the holster new at the same time he bought the gun. So we know that there was more than one gun was stored in that holster. So I called him in front of the grand jury, which is risky because he has to be given immunity from anything he says in order to give up his Fifth Amendment right to being prosecuted based on what he says. So we granted him immunity, and I went through his statement line by line. And when I got to the parts that said that, did he ever own another 25? He said no. I said, did you ever own another gun that you put in that holster? No. Well, those are lies. So I had the grand jury consider whether he should be charged with perjury. The grand jury agreed and ordered that he be charged with perjury. So I told the lawyer representing Soleo that what had happened. And I said, but I still will agree not to arrest Soleo for the perjury if he'll tell us where the gun is now. We fire it and demonstrate that it was not the murder weapon, then we can move on to somebody else. The lawyer thought that was a great idea. He calls me back later saying, nope, we're not doing it. So I charged him with perjury. We convict him of perjury. It goes up to the Supreme Court on whether I should have been allowed to use the wiretap evidence. The Supreme Court said we were. So as soon as that came down, we arrested him for murder and tried the case and got him a first-degree murder conviction.
Yeah, look at that. I love it. I love how you're able to. Your memory is impeccable. Like, man.
Well, you pick two cases that have been the subject of books and TVs for years, so those are ones that are easy.